Hey guys, welcome back. This is Library of Orthonc, LOTR TCG, back with part 2 of our Tower Draft Pack video. Check out part 1 that just shows us opening the packs, and just as a quick refresher, we did open a Tower Draft Pack, as well as 3 packs of 2 towers, as well as 1 pack each of Battle of Helm's Deep and Ents of Fangor. And so from that, we're going to construct our deck. So let's just get this out of the way, and I will walk you through my deck making process. So in this format, technically, according to the rules, you're supposed to pre-select a Frodo and pre-select a site path. I personally think it's a lot more fun to allow the players to do that after, meaning you get to open your cards first and then select a Frodo and a site path. So that's how I like to play. But be aware the official rules are that you have to do that before you see your cards. So the 3 Frodos to choose from is the Tired Traveler, play a Ringbound to remove a burden, the Courteous Halfling, kind of hand and deck protection, and the Master of the Precious, some weird Golem tricks with playing, Smeagol tricks with playing Smeagol from your discard pile. So those are the 3 you have to choose from. If I pick blindly, I usually would go with the Tired Traveler, but you'll see in this deck, I'm actually using the Courteous Halfling with the assumption that I'm choosing after I open my pool, and you'll see why when we go through. And of course, you get to choose a ring, but you would always choose the One Ring Attar. Then in terms of the deck, so how do I go about making a deck? So this is our sealed pool that we opened. And basically the first thing you're going to want to do is sort by Twilight. And I do already have these sorted for the sake of time for the video, so you don't sit and watch me sort cards. But basically the first thing you want to do is have all your free peoples in one stack and all your shadow in the other. Kind of common sense there. We're going to set the shadow off to the side. Focus on the free peoples. So the first thing then you do once you get your stacks made is you want to sort out your companions. Companions are very critical. So I did that and sorted out the companions. You'll see those in a moment. And then after companions, I also always want to see possessions, see what kind of weapons we have. So those are going to be by far your most critical is companions and possessions. And then we look to round out the deck with events and conditions, or I should say conditions and events. Not very many conditions here in our pool, but a lot of events. So either way, that's what you look to round your deck out with once you've filled out your fellowship. So let's get right to the deck building process. So first off, you want to take a look at your companions. And so I just have these sorted by culture. We do have some nice ones here. We've got Arwen, Haldir, a couple Legolas. And for Ents, we have an Ent Avenger and a Forest Guardian. Then we did pull Faramir, Knight of Gondor. See if I can adjust that light. Sorry, it's reflecting off the Faramir. There we go. And we did pull an Éomer and a Household Guard. And then for Hobbits, we've got 2 of Merry, 2 of Sam, and 1 of Pippin. So there's our companion pool. Some nice choices. Now, in this format, you're always going to want to choose 8 companions. You never want to try to go with less, just because they're going to die, and you need to keep replacing them. So, Frodo, of course, is our 1. That's why I say we need to choose 8 more for the rule of 9. So, looking at this, I see kind of actually, in this case, 3 different viable ways that we could go with our starting fellowship. That's what I usually like to figure out is what's my starting fellowship. And so the 3 viable ways that we have in this pool, which are all actually quite decent, is you have Éomer, kind of looking at your best companions. The best companions in this pool, Éomer and Faramir, because they're 7s. And actually, by far, the best companion in this pool is the Forest Guardian, because he's an 8, and he lets you filter cards. His effect is discard 2 to allow him to skirmish. So he's actually our best. And then, of course, in this format, Haldir is basically a 7 also, because as long as your opponent controls no sight, Then he is a 7. And Legolas is good because he's an archer. So those are kind of our 4 people that I would look at, or 5 people. Éomer, Faramir, Legolas, Haldir, Forest Guardian. Those are our top guys. Now, when we look at the starting, these 2 guys both have a discounted starting effect. So Éomer says, while you can spot a man, Éomer's Twilight cost is -1. So how that works, of course, is you start the Household Guard for 2, and then you start Éomer, and he is -1 because you can spot the Household Guard. So that is a very good start right there. The other thing we can do that I would say is slightly worse because it's 1 less power on the Knight of Gondor is that Faramir says the Twilight cost of each other man in your starting fellowship is -1. So in this case, you start him first and then come down with the Knight of Gondor for 1. Again, a very viable start, but I would say between the 2, I'd rather have the Rohan because 6 over 5, really, and no relevant effects on any of them. So that's the 2. And then actually the third, which I think I would choose to go with, is to just start the Forest Guardian, because I love being able to filter cards from the get-go, and he's got, the highest power. So I would look to start him. And then, of course, you can pair that either with a Legolas for the archery or a Haldir also for the 7 power. So what I would do, I would usually choose Legolas to be my partner. But as you may recall, in our pool, so even if you are playing according to traditional rules, which is you have to pull a site in your pool to be able to use it, I did pull, as you may recall, the Eastment Gullies, which says I can exert 2 Unbound to play Legolas from my draw deck. Which that's also another disadvantage to Faramir starting, is he's ringbound, so he is not unbound. So a very viable start would be to start these 2 guys and pull Legolas. But what I'm going to want to do actually is, I think my selection would be to start the Forest Guardian and Haldir, because those just can go together, even though there's not any synergy between the 2 like there are with these guys. They're just better cards. I get my 7 power guy and I get my 8 power filter guy. And since they're both unbound, I can have the Eastment Gullies and pull Legolas. Again, if I happen not to win the bid and have to go second and they don't play Eastment Gullies, I may go with this right here for my start. But that's debatable. Since I have 2 Legolas in the deck, I might just free float the 2 Legolas and still go with this for the start. So that's probably what I'm looking at, is that's my start. So no, that was a lot of analysis there, guys. Usually you don't get that much choice here, but since we had, like I said, open 5 packs and actually got some really good companion pulls, in particular a rare Faramir. This guy's common, but he's a nice pull. So because of that, and because we got this amazing beast of a common, the mythic common, we have more choices than we usually do, is where I was going with that. Usually you're pretty stuck on what you'd be playing. You'd be happy to start an Arwen usually. And like I said, even if you had to start a Household Guard, that'd be reasonable enough. So looking at Haldir and Forest Guardian as our starting fellowship, then we got to fill in 6 more guys. And so like I said, I would definitely do Legolas as 1. We can always pull out the extra copies later on. Ent Avenger is actually going to be pretty borderline, because this is not going to come into play. I'm never going to spot 3 Ents. So he's just a 6/4. So he does have an extra vitality, which is nice. But for 2 extra Twilight, I'm actually not too high on that. So he's a maybe. He's a no if I'm starting Faramir. Or excuse me, if I'm not starting Faramir. Probably am still playing Faramir, since he's a 7 and only a 3. Again, just comparatively 1 cheaper and 1 higher power. So I do like that. Again, I still would like to play Faramir. This guy's a maybe. Just statistically, he's okay. Arwen is, what does this one say? Exert an elf to make a minion. So probably not a great effect, but could be semi-relevant. So I would put her above the Household Guard. So she'd be my first, kind of go in that order of those. And Merry and Pippin with discarding shenanigans, I am just not a huge fan of. This is actually supposed to be the theme of the pool that I opened. but I just don't really like discarding hobbits that much, because all you're doing is taking yourself off the table and you're not doing anything to remove minions. So I'm not, and these guys can't usually take a wound from a minion because most minions are 6 power, so they're pretty much in an always overwhelmed situation. So I am not a big fan of these. So I'm probably going to say no to all of those. But Sam, I'm always a fan of, just for his alternate ring bearer effect. Always nice to pull that out and make your opponent kill 2 ring bearers. So I would be looking to play one of these. I don't think I would play a double Sam ever, though. So I would ditch one of those and play this. So that basically leaves me with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then, yeah, I said I would go ahead and play these 2 as my 7, 8. And actually kick out the Ent Avenger, even though that is a very serviceable card. So I'll play my 2 6/3s. So I basically got 2 7/3s, 2 6/3s, and Sam. And then there's my nice starting / pulling from the deck team. So we've got 1, 2, 3, sorry, Legolas only counts as 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Frodo's 9. Yep, so there's our fellowship, is what we're going to go with there. So, and then that's 9 cards total, because I'm currently using Legolas. So what that means is we're looking for 11 remaining, because this is a 20, didn't explain the format actually. It's a 40 card deck, 20 and 20. So we're looking for exactly 20 Free People's cards. And we did get really nice on weapons too, guys. So I'm going to show you the weapons here. We got Elven Sword, just super good. Any weapons are almost always going to be playable. And we got Elven Sword and Legolas Sword. So those are both just sweet auto plays. And a Nath Longbow. So we are just really stacking up our Elven companions with these things. So we are going to be playing all 3 of these, because they only cost 1 each. They stay on the table, which is very relevant in the draft format. And they all obviously boost us by 1 power, which is highly relevant. So we're definitely playing all 3 of those. So then that puts us up to 12. So we're actually only looking then for 8 events and conditions, which is good. That's about where you want to be. So let's go ahead and, so there you can see the companions and weapons that we're playing. And what's nice too is these are all elves, but we have a very good stack of elves other than this guy. See, we've got 3 nice targets for all of those. So we can actually ultimately get the sword on Legolas and then get these 2 on our other 2 people. So, and actually you can stack this on the same person because it's a ranged weapon and a hand weapon. So you could have like Haldir with both of these, and then he'd actually be a 9 power if no opponent controls a site. And you've got this discard 2 cards from hand. So this is another filtering effect as well. So we actually have to be careful with not over filtering. So you probably won't use that a whole lot, but if you have to win a skirmish, you do. So there is our companions and our possessions. So let's just stack those back up, starting rest of our fellowship. And like I said, we're going to be playing the Courteous Halfling with Attar. And I'll explain that in a moment. That's a unique event that we pulled, actually, that I've never really even was aware of. So that is our fellowship characters and weapons. Oh, wait, guys, I forgot. There is one more weapon in here on top of my stack, which is the Rider's Spear, which is actually the best one we got here. Well, actually, I shouldn't say. It's a 2 power, so it gives us the biggest boost. It does only work on Faramir or the Household Guard, but again, definitely worth playing because we do have 2 targets for that. I said Faramir, but Éomer or the Household Guard can both use that. So again, we're definitely playing that. And so then that puts us up to 13. So we're looking for 7 cards. So when you're doing this, you're going to want to find if there's any 0 cost conditions. Those are worth considering because you can just put them down for free. In our case, our conditions are pretty terrible. None of these are really relevant. So conditions are pretty much out. And then we'd be looking to play 7 events. Now, you're going to want to look for any events that can target your characters, basically. This one can target my characters, but it makes you exert, so I'm not a big fan of that one. But then we do have a bunch of other nice elven events here. We've got supporting fire is just a +2 pump. Valor is just a +2 pump, and have other relevant possibilities of making it a +3 on both of those. So those are huge. Those are probably our best 3. Playing those 3 for sure. Exert a ringbound man to cancel a skirmish involving a roaming minion. That's too tentative. We're not going to really want that. I do like exert a man to wound a minion. It's very tentative though because we only have 1 man in our deck, but I probably still play that since we got to get up to 7 of these. Exert a knight to play a fortification. That's totally irrelevant. Don't have any dwarves. Exert an ent to make him strength +1 for each ent you spot. Again, we're only going to spot 1 ent, so that would be an exertion just to get 1. That's not good at all. Exert Theoden. Again, not going to work. And then these are Unbound Hobbit discarding. So those are going to be terrible. This is the card I was thinking of because I actually looked at this when I opened it. I'm like, what is this? It's a very cool looking card. Like I did not remember this art at all somehow. No use that way. Weird title, but love the art here of Smeagol, Sam, and Frodo there. And it's add 3 burdens to wound a minion skirmishing a companion who has the Frodo signet twice. So basically this just takes out a reasonable medium-sized minion. 3 burdens is hefty, but in this format burdens don't really matter much. There's no Enkeas here to get you, so having extra burdens isn't usually going to hurt you that much. So this is definitely a very good card. It's kind of like a double paths, if you will. And that is why I chose to use the Courteous Halfling to get that Frodo signet. So basically that way you guarantee you have the Frodo signet, and if you want to get rid of that minion, you just assign him on Frodo, add 3 burdens, boom, blow up the minion. So that is probably our best event card that I think will come in handy. And you can do it twice. Obviously you'll end up adding 6 burdens, but can do it twice because you're going to reshuffle your deck is what I mean. So yeah, so that's a very nice one. So that's up to 5. Warmed up a bit is terrible for, we're not doing Unbound Hobbits, and that's the end. So we're going to have to play 2 cards we don't really want to play because we're at the 5 that we do want to play. Yeah, these are all really bad. I mean, I can put this in my support area for 1. That's what I would debate doing, just to get it out of my hand. Exert an elf to make it. I mean, I'll probably play this, even though I hate exerting my companions to give them extra strength, because I don't really need filtering of 0-cost conditions that badly because I have other filter effects between my tree and my elf sword. Oh gosh, these are just stack 2 cards from your draw deck on a dwarf condition. Yeah, I don't think I'm even allowed to play that if I don't have a dwarf condition. So yeah, these are awful. Yeah, so I'm playing Flashing Steel. That'll be my 6th. And then, actually, what is this? Plays the support area. Stack a card from your discard pile here. Yeah, I'm going to play this, even though I have no dwarves. The effect here is it's a 1-cost condition, so I can just get it down, put it out of my hand. And then it does also, when you play this condition, stack a card from your discard pile here. So that'll let me filter something out of my discard pile that I don't want to see come back when I reshuffle. So that actually is relevant in draft to say, hey, I'm going to play this for 1, take a card out of my discard pile that I don't want, take it out of circulation and stack it on this card. Again, not great, but serviceable. So that's going to be our 7. Like I said, these 2 are both, in my opinion, not really playable, but we had to get up to 20. So there's our events and conditions. So not too bad at all. Like I said, I think our companions are really good. I'm happy with all of those event cards. Really happy with No Use That Way. Very happy with all of the elf pumps. And then we got a couple cards I probably wouldn't play, but got to get up to 20. So that puts us 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Exactly. So we counted right. So that's our Free People's side. And looks like we're about 20 minutes in here already, this is taking a lot longer than I thought. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off for you guys, and we'll finish up the shadow in another video. Stay tuned.